next item of business is our approval of the minutes of the June 24th and the July 15th meeting. And I'd ask we have separate motions because I know that some of us were not at both of these meetings. So we take those one at a time. Do I have a motion for the June 24th board minutes? Board meeting. Mr. Cates.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the minutes of the June 24, 2019 board meeting as published.
Have a second? Mr. Gardner seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. And all those that are abstaining, raise your hand. Abstaining from the vote. And Ms. Hutchison is not with us tonight. So Ms. Stowers, you have that. So I now need a separate motion for the July 15th, 2019 board meeting. Mr. Lovelace.
Mr. Gann, I make the motion that we approve the minutes of the June 15, 2019 board meeting. July 15, I'm sorry.
All right, do we have a second? Ms. Gardner seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. That passes unanimously. And that brings us to item number 10, which is our superintendent's report. And I'll turn it over to Dr. Melton. Dr. Melton.
Thank you, Mr. Gann. If I may begin to build upon the remarks from Ms. Goggins earlier, Mr. Wiseman is in the audience this evening, our Director of Transportation. Our project Search and Boom could not occur without Mr. Wiseman's deliberate organization to make sure that kids have transportation. So Mr. Wiseman, on behalf of our graduates and our students, thank you for getting them there to help them get gainfully employed. Your work has certainly made a difference, so we appreciate your contributions very much. Mr. Gant, you've stolen my thunder like you did Mr. Lovelace's earlier, because you mentioned earlier that students return and teachers are returning soon. So we're preparing for August the 13th, the return of our faculty and staff. And then the following week, on Wednesday the 21st, we welcome back our students of kindergarten through, of course, 12th grade. But our other starts for adult education and preschool programs will begin a week and so later. But we look forward to the 21st. And between now and then, there's a mad dash push for lots of additional work that we have planned to do. I'd like to celebrate the work of our Human Resources Department. They have held 10 orientations, bringing in over 180 new employees to School District 5, with more plans to welcome newer ones after tonight's vote this evening. So thanks to our HR team. Our instructional department continues to offer a variety of professional development opportunities for individuals and also for teams. We are preparing teacher leaders to make sure that they are influencing the work of their fellow colleagues, but also making sure that we are supporting people directly in the classroom assignments that we have. Just last week, Mr. Wiseman and his team had professional development for our drivers, and we made sure that Ms. Brown of our student services was there to assist them with preparing for how to manage student behavior and how to make sure that the buses are a place of high expectations, but especially with safety. So thanks to Dr. Harris and Mr. Wiseman for their work with that. And then, of course, Mr. Richardson with technology and maintenance projects have a mad dash. So Mr. Richardson's been on site in many places today to make sure that we have occupancy approval to make sure that we can be prepared to welcome back our staff and our students. And all this, of course, could not happen without the support of the board. So thank you to the board for your approval of the capital projects. I think Mr. Richardson sits here a little easier tonight, able to breathe a little deeper than he was maybe a week ago this evening because of the progress that's been made in last week. But we still aren't finished, so the time is ticking, right, Mr. Richardson? Knowing that the 13th is drawing very close to us. Tonight we have the opportunity to offer a special report from the Office of Instruction. Mr. Giuliano is going to make our introductions for our summer reading camp, which just concluded last week. Mr. Giuliano.
Dr. Melton. Board members, I'd like to draw your attention to a presentation that we have regarding our summer reading camp, which has recently wrapped up this summer. Certainly busy throughout the summer, making sure we prepare students for the upcoming school year. You'll notice on the first slide that you see the hashtag D5Reads365. That is a Twitter account that we've had running throughout the summer where families have been able to send in pictures of them reading to their child at home, where we have teachers sending in pictures of them reading to their children, and anybody throughout the community, staff members as well. So that's a hashtag if you want to check it out, hashtag D5Reads365, that will continue throughout the school year as well. I'm going to make some introductions in a little bit of some of our staff members that were here this summer working in our camp, but before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about the camp itself. As a refresher, that from a while back, Read to Succeed Act 284 was put into place by our state code, and beginning of the 17-18 school year, a student must be retained in the 3rd grade if the student fails to demonstrate reading proficiency at the end of the 3rd grade, as indicated by scoring at the lowest summative level of the state assessment, which for us would be SC Ready, the reading, they'd be scoring a Not Met 1. There are some good cause exemptions that students can receive, and there's actually 6 different good cause exemptions that students can receive if they score Not Met 1, where they could be promoted to the 4th grade because of those good cause exemptions. But of course, if they do not have a good cause exemption, they can go to our summer reading camp, and if they pass a proficiency test at that point or a portfolio, they can be promoted to the 4th grade at that time. So as far as our camp, the overview of our camp, we house it at Harbison West Elementary School. It takes in students from throughout the district, but we house it at Harbison West. Students receive breakfast, and they also receive lunch, materials and resources, transportation, everything free of charge to the students. And our students, our goal and our purpose is to make sure that we do not have summer slide, that they're ready and prepared as they move into the next school year. And then we also want to make sure that we instill that love of reading, that joy of reading, so they can start the school year with success and they can gain upon that success as they enter the school year. We try to keep the student to teacher ratio around 1 to 10. So we do have teachers in place that we employ throughout the summer, and then we also have a site administrator and a lead teacher that oversee that program as well. Students-wise, this year we had 46 total students, and of those students, 38 were 3rd graders and 8 were 2nd graders. We identify students in March. It's a requirement by the state to identify students in March when our state assessment actually takes place in May. So we're not ever exactly sure exactly which students will be identified as Not Met 1, but we do have to make those identifications much sooner. So a lot of times we over-identify and over-serve students, but quite honestly, the summer reading camp will benefit all students that are in the program, and they can certainly build upon that success for the next school year. One thing that we had that was new this year is the Eat and Read Initiative 2019, and we partnered with Todd Biedenbow, the Director of Student Nutrition. We partnered with them and the Office of Instruction to make sure that we had 5 summer reading feeding sites. We had books available to students that they could read, and we also had some staff members that would go and assist. Dr. Robin Cox and Miss Judy Soltis went out and they assisted, and they read with students. We also went to the Irmo Village Farmers Market and read with students, and books were donated by many of our teachers to help support this program. So it's a new initiative that we had this school year that was this summer I should say, that was very successful to help give them food, but then also to have some reading experiences as they were eating their meal. There's a few pictures that you can see, and it's maybe hard for some of our audience members in the back, about meeting and greeting them, and then also the books and the experiences that they had throughout the summer at this initiative. Each summer we get a visit from the State Department of Education as well. And the State Department of Education visits all summer reading camps throughout the state. And this quote is something that was written and left as written feedback for us from Taylor Seal, who's the member of the State Department of Education. So I did want to read that for you because I thought it really highlights our camp. I enjoyed getting to visit Harbison West Elementary last week to observe summer reading camp. I think the staff and teachers are doing great work, and it seems like there have been significant time spent considering the individual needs of students and how best to meet those during camps. Specifically, I think the staff is doing the best job I've seen this summer when it comes to including parents and making sure they're informed of their child's progress as they go back into the school year. This is based upon feedback that she sees throughout the state of South Carolina. You'll also notice a few quotes from some of our staff members as they receive students back into their schools after summer reading camp. The fact that they have gained confidence, they experience rich dialogue, continued growth in that confidence and stamina that the students grow throughout the summer, which is very beneficial, as quoted by some of our teachers. We have wonderful partners in our summer camp as well, and one that's been with us since 2015 is our United Way of the Midlands, in thanks part to Dr. Melton and her work with the United Way to bring that program, and they have such a strong interest in working with us. So they gave us a grant this year for $5,545, and you can see some of the incentives that they were able to give to students at the end of the camp, with a backpack filled with about 30 books in each backpack, camp t-shirts and attendance incentives that these students receive because of this partnership with the United Way of the Midlands. And then lastly, we had several other partners that we thanked throughout the time. We had the Chapel Smith and Arden Law Firm, Lexington County Library, South Carolina Geographic Alliance, Pelican Snowballs, Sonic, and Zesto all donated items and their time as well to work with the students in our summer reading camp. Very impressive, the partnerships we had.
The District 5 Reading Camp is part of the Read to Succeed law. So we're serving kids, both rising third graders and rising fourth graders, and we're here to help boost them up and provide some.
I think they came in thinking it was going to be that we're going to sit in a room all day and we're going to look at books and we're going to read. And it's not. The teachers that we have here are incredible. They really focus on building that community as a classroom first, and then how it's okay to make mistakes, and then how can you learn from those mistakes. And so then students open up and they feel more comfortable with being vulnerable and making those mistakes and then growing from them.
What you see the students doing there is a virtual field trip where they have those virtual glasses on and they can actually experience it. You can see the true enjoyment that the students have in that experience.
Anything we can make hands-on and real for them, I think, is fantastic. So we taught them how to read a map and how they use the same reading strategies in a map as they would in a text. And what do we do first? We kind of take a picture walk. We look at it. We applied a lot of our reading strategies to the map. And as a teacher, it was really interesting for me to see what they did know and what they could do and what was hard for them. Like, they had to look at the map from the bottom to read the words. They couldn't read the words upside down or from the side. Just different things that I hadn't thought of before of how they approached things. Then on the last day every year, it's a celebration. The kids share their learning. This year they've made paintings with a theme from a text that says something about their life that they want to remember. They got to pick out about 30 books from a book fair that is also sponsored by the United Way of the Midlands. And we've purchased LL Bean book bags for all of the kids. They picked their design, but they didn't know what it was for. And they have sort of a graduation ceremony, and each student gets a book bag with at least 30 to 40 books. We threw in some extra books as well.
Change the whole trajectory of these kids' lives. It changes their attitude about reading, about school, who they can be and what they can be. So it really connects those dots and then opens up a lot of opportunity.
I'd like to call up 3 of those rock stars that you saw in that video. I'd like to call up Ms. Morgan Johnson, and she is our lead teacher, or not lead teacher, I'm site administrator for the program, but she's also the AAP at Chapin Elementary School. I'd like to call up Ms. Danielle Hance. She was the lead teacher for our summer reading camp, and she's also a teacher at Chapin Intermediate School. And then Miss Tina McCaskill, she is our Director of Elementary Education, and without these three rock stars right here, the summer reading camp would not be possible, and the success of our students would not be possible. So I'd like to thank the three of them for their hard work throughout the summer.
Like to get a picture of those rock stars?
Absolutely.
Do that with our board.
Come on.
Everybody look up here. 1, 2, 3. One more. Thank you.
Any little rock stars we can still? You got some more coming up? These are great.
And Dr. Melton, that completes my report, unless there's any questions that we may have.
See if this is on, Mr. Gann.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. I am so excited about this because I know as a teacher, we've said if we catch these kids early, we're gonna see so many benefits that's gonna take us a little while to see, but it's gonna be worth it. But I had just some things I'd love to know about it. Did you have many that fell under what you call a good cause exemption?
We do. We have, every year, we have several students that have a good cause exemption.
And that really just means, I'm kinda asking the parents, so that means they get evaluated and so they really can pass their grade. That means they have reasons that they weren't reading at the level they should have.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
There's 6 exemptions that it could qualify for,
Right.
which would be reasons.
All right, and then my other was, how long was their day, the length of a regular school day?
They went from 8 till 2 o'clock, 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday for 5 weeks.
Okay, and then, with the 46 that we had, were they from all of our different schools?
Yes.
Did we have any one school we had more kids that we should concentrate on? Like more, like using the data that we have a greater need at a certain school over another, or it was pretty even among our schools?
Typically, it's pretty even, and I could even speak for the several years of the summer reading camp being involved myself. It varies and ranges year to year from school to school, but there's typically not one school that really stands out.
Good, because I was thinking we could use that data. And my last one was, if after the 5 weeks, if a child is still not, they haven't progressed where we want them, is that when they're retained?
If they-
Or if they do that, they automatically go to the next grade? Because a lot of parents worry about if they go through the program, then they make it. Or could a child not make it?
Sure. Now, it is possible that they could go through the summer reading camp and not meet the certain criteria, but all of our students did meet the criteria and all of our students did advance to 4th grade.
Good. That means it was just some really good teachers there.
Great teachers. Great
Thank you
teachers.
for letting me ask those 4 questions.
Mr. Lovelace.
Mr. Giuliano, is there any way that those of us that aren't professionals could assist in this, other than just money donations? I'm talking about, with time and talent.
Absolutely. We had some volunteers that came in and read to some classes. There was actually a sign-up sheet that the site administrator that created and the lead teacher created, so people could come in and read to a class at a particular time. A lot of the aspects within the video you saw also, that big map that was on the floor, that was one of the Geographic Alliance that came in and did that activity with them as well. So we're always looking for more partnerships and ideas to assist, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Great report. Great report.
Thank you.
A lot of good readers.
Mr. Gann, if I could echo some of the things that Mr. Giuliano shared. Mr. Lovelace, thank you for that question. Field trips are important. Sometimes field trips come to us, sometimes we go to field trips. So those are always critical experiences for any student to get to have. So we would look next year, how might we get kids out of the community to be exposed to some things? The guest readers are critically important, and I just celebrate how many administrators from across the district came in to read. I see the teachers back there nodding their heads. But I want to echo what Ms. Hammond said. We have excellent teachers. And for teachers to give up their summer, and Ms. McCaskill was over there so much, she wanted to take kids home with her because she knew them by name and they knew her by name, and the relationships that build so quickly. One of the things I heard from the State Department was just a surprise of how quickly a class community emerged. These are kids coming from all across the district that didn't know each other before. But when you have someone come in from the State Department that sees that kids are interacting and seem to know each other, that's a tribute to strong instruction. And I just cannot say how important that is. We take it for granted, but it should never be taken for granted, the time that our teachers spend getting to know our kids and making sure that our kids get to know each other. So I celebrate that. The challenge for Mr. Giuliano this year was to pass the baton to Ms. McCaskill, and he not stay directly involved. But although the video didn't work as we had hoped, we'll send that to you all later. Jimmy, if you'll make sure we send it to the board and get Katrina to post it online. If you remember the Oprah Winfrey show that used to come on, where Oprah would have her holiday special and you get this and you get that, and there was an eruption in the room, that's what this bag distribution is like from United Way. The kids have picked out the material, but they don't know what it's for. So for them to have the presentation of this cart coming out with a book bag filled with books and the subscriptions and things that they'll get to have, parents are excited, kids are excited, and this year we had to deliberately tell them, we're giving you a t-shirt to wear, because in years past, we've had kids tell their parents they have to have a new suit or new dress to wear for the graduation. That's how important kids see this event as being, because they feel so successful and want to honor that celebration. And I have to echo one more time the Eat and Read initiative. That's the first for us. So Ms. Richardson, please share with Mr. Bean about our appreciation. We took the challenge to try something new. Many times it's a conflict for families to commit to bring kids to a camp like summer reading camp. So whether it's a work schedule, whether it's a child care situation, we want to work around variables and not have obstacles. So we overcome an obstacle by creating this Eat and Read initiative. So whether you could come out for an hour every time that we had it operational, or whether you could come every other week, people came and they read. Again, I celebrate the volunteers that contributed to that and would welcome anyone that would have the time next summer that would like to come and read with kids. We'll sign you up, right, Mr. Giuliano?
Absolutely.
So we can make sure that gets on calendars, but many hands have gotten involved with these two initiatives, and I just am grateful for the work, the leadership, and definitely the commitment. So thanks to all the staff for their involvement. Mr. Gant, that completes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Milton. Great report.